Hey everyone, this is Phil, and today I'll be doing an overview of the MoYu HuanYing. It's this cube we have here in the box. This is a fully lubed version. I'm going to show you guys later. So to get started, we'll show you guys the name of the cube, MoYu HuanYing. Okay, and so just to offer a quick translation, HuanYing means illusion shadow. The full term illusion is actually 幻觉 in Chinese, and they just shortened it to Huan. And for shadow, it's 影子, and they just shortened it to Ying. So when you put them together, the name is more compact, HuanYing. MoYu means magic territory, and I guess that's the name of the brand. So let's take a look at the box. It has the picture of the cube, some Chinese, and really shiny sticker here. You can see the light reflect off of it, and a diagram of what the cube looks like, a corner piece, professional mechanism for cubing competition, some safety warnings, and distributed by HK Now Store, which is pretty cool, and the internals on the top. So before you even open the package, you can kind of see what it's like on the inside, which is pretty cool. So we're going to take a look at my first impressions, and then we'll go through how the mechanism works, how it performs after lubing, who this cube is for, and I'll end with some closing thoughts. Let's take a look at an untouched MoYu HuanYing. Okay, so I took the cube out of the box. I didn't really do anything with it. I did a few solves, under a camera to show you guys what it moves like on solves. You'll see that at the end of the video. This really surprised me because the movement is really nice. There is some catching, like if you rush, you kind of get stuck. But if you're very careful and if you're very careful and you turn accurately, it's actually really good unlubed. And that really surprised me because usually cubes you have to take care of. You have to put lube in, you have to break it in, you have to tension it. The cube I got right out of the box was really nice. I'm not sure if I was incredibly lucky. Well, both my cubes were really nice, but I have a strong feeling that this cube is just generally really good out of the box. And another thing I noticed was these bright stickers. These bright stickers are pretty awesome. The yellow is brighter than the yellow I normally use, and the green is also pretty bright. And I don't typically use these colors, but they look great, and they offer a lot of contrast. You can see, and between the green and the blue, just really awesome. So this is a very high quality product out of the box. So if you're one of those guys that likes to, experience a cube right out of the box that you've never felt before in your life, this will really surprise you because it's very good out of the box. And again, I'll show you at the end what it looks like during solves. It's pretty awesome. So let's take it apart and check out the mechanism. Okay, so I took these cubes apart. This one is actually a prototype I got from HK Now Store, and it's physically very similar. There could be very minute differences, but I don't see them with the naked eye, so I'm just going to assume that they're almost the same or exactly the same, close enough. So for the corner piece, you have this concave corner base with a lot of missing plastic here. You can see it's pretty much hollow, and that makes the cube very light. You see all the empty space here, and the cubey looks solid from the outside, but it's actually hollow from the inside, so it's pretty cool. The edge piece has this tab, and you can see it better on this on the white cube here. You can see they both have tabs, and these tabs function like torpedoes in the Diane cube, and keeps the pieces in check. So when you put them next to each other like this, the tab locks in. You can see the tab locks into the corner piece, and it sits tight like this, and they can't move out. So one interesting thing I noticed was that this core was blue, and this core was red. I'm not sure that's a difference. It could just be a color and not the material, but it was pretty cool to see a blue core. I don't think I've ever seen a blue core in a cube, so that was really interesting. And as I said with the video of the prototype, there's a lot of open space on the inside, and it makes the cube very light and very airy to play with. So you feel like there's really nothing inside. Last thing I'm going to do is open up the center, and I can show you the center cap. The center cap is actually pretty deep, so it actually sits in very, very deep in the cube, and the screw goes in a whole lot. I would say maybe half a centimeter. So the screw goes in a lot, and you can play with the tensions a lot, that means. And so this is pretty much the mechanism of the HuanYing. It's very interesting because it's hollow inside, and there's a lot of space, and that's what gives it the really light kind of feel, and the pieces seem to touch a lot on the inside, and that gives the cube a clacky feel. So now what I'm going to do is show you guys the one I lubed and broke in, and we're going to take a look at how that performs. Okay, so now that we have the lube version here, I just want to remind you what this unlubed one feels like. It's kind of loud, and it's quick, and it's clacky. This lubed one is softer. It still has that clacky and loud character, but it's definitely softer, and the clicking is, I noticed that the pitch is deeper and lower, so you can hear, versus... So really interesting. I'm not sure what the pitch difference actually means, but it's definitely lower. So if you prefer like a lower pitched cube, you can try lubing it. The corner cutting is really great. It goes line to line very easily, and the small ones are just no problem at all. They did a very good job with the corner cutting. And half a piece, it goes backwards, and the small ones are really easy. I don't think it does something as extreme as this, but you know, who needs it? So the cube is really flexible, and this one also, it goes. So the lube didn't really do much with the corner cutting. I think what the lube did most was make the inside a little bit gummier, so you don't feel like it's hollow, or at least not as hollow as this unlubed version, and it slowed the cube down a little bit, so made it a little more controllable. So really, whether you lube the cube or not depends on your tastes. I really suggest playing with an unlubed version first, and just check if you like it or not, and if you don't like it, gradually work in the lube, because it's much easier to add lube than to subtract it. So definitely consider the just bare cube. That hasn't been said in a really long time, because as I said earlier, usually people lube their cubes. So this cube is, again, really good out of the box, but if you lube it, you can kind of change the way it feels, and so it's softer and not as super clacky. Alright, now that this is over, let's take a look at some recommendations and who this cube is for. Okay, so I definitely think this is a really great cube. It's really good out of the box, and so my first group of people I'm going to make a suggestion to are people that like low maintenance cubes, because this cube is very low maintenance. You can't get any more low maintenance than this. You just take the cube out of the box and you enjoy it, because it's really good out of the box, and I think it'll really appeal to people that don't have that much time or the energy to tinker with their cubes. And of course, you can change the character of this cube when you do it, so it'll also appeal to people who just like the general feeling of this cube, which is clicky fast and kind of loud. It really reminds you that you're cubing, because all the pieces click and clack, and the click with precision. So it's a really, really crisp feeling. And so if you like a crisp, you know, full of contact cube, you will really like this. This is also a pretty good practice cube because it's so easy to move. And so I feel like I could do a lot of solves on this cube and not get tired, because its turning resistance is so low. And so if you want a practice cube, this is also really nice. This cube, again, its corner cutting is very flexible, so you can move very quickly on it without it just totally shutting down. I know some cubes feel really nice, just, you know, if you feel them, but if you start spamming moves or turning really quickly, you know, the enjoyment kind of comes to an end, because it can't withstand really high turning speed. This cube is not one of those cubes. It can support high turning speed. So this is, I think, a good cube for, you know, anyone who's a beginner all the way to, you know, a really competitive expert, because you know, if you're a beginner, you can just take the cube out of the box and enjoy it, and if you're an expert, this cube will really provide you with really flexible movement and really nice corner cutting, and it's just really fun to play with. So pretty much, if you like the feeling, or if you like a low maintenance cube, I highly recommend. And of course, if you just like collecting 3x3s, definitely this is one that you shouldn't skip because it's a very high quality 3x3, and would highly recommend it. Alright, so let's end with some closing thoughts. So, I really like this cube, despite not liking clicky cubes. I know I have a history of using really smooth, really slow, gummy cubes, but despite, having a preference that leans completely the other way, I really found this cube enjoyable. It did not really slow down any of my solves. Usually when you solve with a cube you don't really like, your times don't look as great as, if you're using a cube that you like, but, my times didn't really suffer because even though this cube is clicky, it's clicky done well. So I was very happy to see, a cube so unique come out. It's of course, this is not a Diane cube. Diane does not make this, so people always ask, which cube is better? And I think the answer is pretty complicated, but at the same time, you can give a very simple answer. It depends. It depends on your preferences. This cube, I think, offers a clicky feel that Diane does not offer. I think the closest comparison is a Lingyang V2, but that still doesn't offer as much contact and crisp as this cube. So if you're one of those guys that likes crisp, you will definitely like this cube, most likely over a Diane because of how super crispy it is, and that's a feeling that Diane lacks. And of course, even if you don't like crispiness, you can still enjoy this cube because it's crispiness done well. I personally didn't like crispiness, never liked it, but I still really enjoyed this cube. So I think you should all give it a try and see how it works for you. And trying it's very easy because you can just pull it out of the box and it will be quite quick. So that's pretty much a wrap on the MoYu HuanYing. This has been a very fun cube to play with. If you have any questions or comments, just feel free to comment and we'll talk. After this is not actually the end. We're going to take a look at some solves. So thank you guys very much for watching. See you in the next video, and let's enjoy some solves.